Hello there, welcome back to another episode of World of Tanks with Gainy Titan. We're on the Arctic map and we're in the 45 TP Habicja, which is the tier 7 Polish heavy tank that leads on from the tier 6 40 TP Habicja. Running out of things to call their tanks. I'm not sure, no idea what Habicja means, but whatever it means, they give, or at least according to World of Tanks, they give the same name to both tanks. I'm afraid I don't know much about the history behind this tank or anything like that, other than what you see and the information you get. Now, it's stock configuration. I've only played with stock configuration. I haven't actually quite unlocked the second package, though I am pretty close to it, thanks to the matchmaking as much as anything else, because bottom tier, this tank does not fare very well, at least not against 7, 8, 9s, not against tier 9s, really fares badly. Because the gun is a bit on the ineffective side, the penetration values just aren't up to it, even with premium ammunition. Against tier 8s, it's okay. It will be somewhat lacking, but premium ammunition will get the job done. Against tier 7s, it actually performs very well. It's very effective against tier 7s. It will penetrate with regular ammunition, except some of the tougher cases like the Tiger Porsches and OIs and a few things like that. However, it's and the gun is it's solid enough, solid amounts of damage. The mobility is not bad. The armor is pretty much non-existent. The armor is really poor actually on this tank overall, and I think my experience of it so far is that if you get into any kind of one-on-one fight with a tank that does anywhere comparable in damage, or say fast-firing lower tier tanks that are tough enough to survive the hits, that'll take the hits, you'll probably lose the fight, or at least you'll suffer an enormous amount of damage lost for the damage you dish out. So I'm down here. There's a lot of us down here, and we're not able to reliably see the enemy tanks. I think we only see them when the medium tank is poking out. The problem with that kind of situation is they tend to lead. They're seeing us, at least what I'm looking at. So you tend to lose that kind of a bun fight when you're out view ranged by enemies. And I'm driving away. So as you can see, we're at 35 kilometers an hour on the flat. It slows down a bit. Again, we're on a stock configuration, so I mean, I don't take much notice of the mobility issues of the tank, but I think it is a heavy tank though, which is they're decent enough speeds for a heavy tank. But the problem is, I just find the tank a little bit lackluster. I mean, I find you won't hold a corner on this tank, simply because again, you don't have the scary DPM, you don't have the armor. If the people against you are anyway smart at all, they will realise that they can reliably penetrate you, and if they rush you at all, they're going to take you out, because while you might do a respectable amount of damage, if you're up against multiple tanks, you're going to be taking more than you're giving out. And I suspect there are tanks that will probably out DPM it reliably, in terms of their absolute firepower. Like an Absolution will give this tank a lot of trouble now, because again, you won't be able to reliably penetrate the Absolution, and the Absolution is a very, very high rate of fire. Even tanks like the Craft Panther or something like that have a fairly high rate of fire against it. Could be quite a tough proposition to take on in this tank, so unless you can get the advantage in early and get him get some damage ahead done, or you can keep retiring into cover or something like that, so they're coming around and have to reacquire your target name and things like that. Depends on the use of ground and tactics, but if you're just caught in the open one-on-one, in my experience anyway, I would expect to lose most of the fights, even if I do a respectable amount of damage. Now, the first thing I would say is that for a stock tank, that's actually pretty good performance. There are a lot of stock tanks that are way worse than that. The VK line. The 3001 springs to mind, for instance, the DW2, things like that, where although the DW2 had the armour, but the guns on it were generally rather poor, and with some rather poor gun handling as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether this tank will improve a lot with the subsequent gun packages. And with the final gun package, like, the armour isn't going to change, and I think the turret armour doesn't change a whole lot either, so that I'm kind of more or less stuck with the same performance on armour and turret, which is not great. So far the tank is leaving me lackluster. I have no fondness for the tank. It's solid and workmanlike, and it kind of does the job. But it's not the worst tank I've driven or the worst experience, but of the three, this is the last of the three tier 7s. It's not as much fun. The T-34-100 is a more fun tank. The Spa-Panzer, or Spa-Panzer is a better tank. Okay, it's a light tank, it's a different kind of tank, but it's still a lot of fun in its own right. This tank is just, yeah, it won't be difficult to grind it. So it'll be very interesting to see if any of the later guns give it a bit of zing. I'm not expecting great things from it, simply because I think for a heavy tank the armour is just going to let it down, and it's up against some of the best heavy tanks tier for tier in the game. I mean, if you run into, okay, the Tiger armour doesn't hold up well, but the Tiger has the rate of fire and better mobility. The T-29 has similar kind of rate of fire and much better armour. The IS has a stonking great big gun. Okay, its gun handling is abysmal. It's a Russian tank, and it's got decent armour. But if you get up close and personal with an IS and you hit somebody with it, they sit up and pay attention. Whereas with this thing, you're doing kind of average damage, average enough performance, and a guy can hit you back. Like, so you go up against this with an IS and you can be hit twice by the IS, or three times by the IS, and nearly all your hit points are gone. Whereas you have not done comparable damage. On the reverse side of it, against the IS, you've done like 600 points of damage or whatever. You're another 3 shots away from killing him. He's 1 shot away from killing you. So it's a tank that you have to be careful in. You can't be adventurous in it. You can't really go anywhere on your own unless it's kind of a safe spot to go, so that you can effectively snipe with the tank. And you can probably snipe with the tank quite effectively, especially with the final gun. The final gun seems to be the only one that's different. It's the 105mm gun, so there's a considerable increase in penetration. Now the performance, the accuracy is about 0.4, which is the same. The difference there is that with the 90mm gun that you've got on it at the start, the accuracy, the 0.4 accuracy means that sniping at long range, if the target is well armoured, isn't going to be a very profitable exercise unless you're using premium, and even then it could be problematic if you're sniping at tier 9s, for instance. It might be a waste of time, simply because you won't have the accuracy to hit weak spots at range. You'll hit the tank handily enough, but you won't hit specific weak spots. Whereas with the final gun, you'll have the same accuracy, but you'll have a much more punchier gun. Now, with the final gun, a lot of the stuff that I've said so far might change, in theory at any rate, because you're doing practically 100 points of extra damage. So it makes trading far more effective. I mean, you're still going to be trading if you're in a one-on-one fight. But the thing is, if you're now in a one-on-one fight with an IS, you're going to be doing similar damage output. So if you start out with a health point advantage, then you're likely to keep that health point advantage. That sort of thing. So yeah, it'll probably be a lot better. But the thing is, the IS will still have the possibility of bouncing shots, where this one probably won't. Because while in theory the top armour in front is as good as a lot of stuff at the tier, there isn't a lot of it. The trouble is there's an awful lot of spaces that are just not that well armoured. So there's plenty of opportunities for people who know what they're doing just to put rounds through different parts of the front sides of the tank. Gun depression is 8 degrees, which is reasonable. I mean, you can work with that. And we've gotten the other 45 TP here because we've tracked him on top of the railway, so we can now get just under his gun. He can't possibly, well, maybe Matilda could shoot down that slope, and we just have him. And at this stage, we have the enemy on the run. Because they concentrated so heavily on the flanks, we've cleared them off of Butwell. We've already cleared them off on the eastern edge of the map. We're actually making our way into the town. And it's now a question of will I be able to catch up. There's a reasonable engine boost as well on this tank in the final package. But you have to get to the final package. Seems, just looking at the Tankopedia, you have to get to the final package to see real noticeable changes in this tank. The first two packages are much of a muchness in terms of the performance of this tank. I think there's an engine improvement in the second one, which will improve the mobility of the tank. But I don't think, I should say that you'll notice all that much, because mobility is not something I would consider an issue with this tank. The only thing I suppose is that it might make if the performance is better, should we say, on poor ground and stuff like that, it might make relocation a lot more effective, because I think this is a tank where you've got to be prepared to relocate to get the best out of it. And if you have better mobility, and you particularly have better performance of mobility on poor ground, then it becomes a lot easier to relocate. So you don't want, if you've a tank with a good gun and poor armour, mobility is a high priority, because that would just make life so much easier, because you're not as committed. And then what you want to do is you want to sort of stay back from the line enough so that you can relocate effectively, so that you're not actually committed right out in the front line. So we did slightly better on this one, and since we did a bit more damage and received quite a bit less, so we managed to get a second class master out of this one. The assisted tracking damage I think helped quite a bit there as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please press like, comment, share. It really helps the channel out. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.